Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
Hey everybody, it's Tuesday night, which means it's another live Wicked Horror Show. I'm Kevin, and as always, I'm joined by Tony Has 9 Fingers.
What is going on, people?
And Tony, would you like to introduce our special guest?
Sure. We have him on for probably many different things, but between shorts and his full length coming out to Hellgate, we have DJ Remark.
What's going on?
Hey guys. Hello.
Thanks for coming on. So yeah, you've been at it for a little bit. You got a good collection of shorts out there, and so this new one it's called the Hellgate.
Yeah, it's our first feature film.
Nice. And I know you were doing some casting and you were doing some like funding and stuff like that. Is that wrapped up, or are you guys all set on that, or are you still raising money?
We are still raising money. We are scheduled to start filming in April of next year. So we pushed it out that far so that we could get a lot of the we have like a whole marketing strategy of how we're going to, market the film. And so we wanted to get casting out of the way because we wanted to have most of the leads cast, and the two leads mainly we wanted cast because they actually have their own YouTube channel. And so part of our marketing strategy was to make some videos with them as, part of as their channel. And so we were doing that, but we're still in the funding phase. We're still, anybody that wants to, help out, make the film, you can hit us up.
Yeah. Now, do you have like a Indiegogo or something, or is it just something where you're just doing it privately? Or
not yet? We're doing private. We're looking privately right now, but we're always taking. I mean, if you want to donate, you can always donate, and it's in our link tree. You can always send money that way if you want to. We will probably. So I don't want to go on a tangent about crowdfunding, but I would
do, man. We've heard a lot, so I'm sure
I would rather. Well, so I would rather not. To be honest. But if there's like maybe some post-production stuff that we would have to crowdfund, we might do something like that, but we're really looking for like a grassroots kind of move, funding for this, and private investing and whatnot. Money's out there. It's just, we got to get it. We got to get the right people interested.
Yeah. And the thing with crowdfunding is we've heard, I'm sure Tony's going to say the same exact thing I was going to say. Is that it's like a full-time job. Like you have to have like a team just working on that. So yeah. And then you got people that are like, where's my perk? I want it right now. It's like, well, the movie's not done. You need to simmer down for a second, right. But it's at the same time
people don't usually read the fine print where it's like, okay, this movie will be filmed here and you'll probably get it at this date. And then it's like, well, where is it? It's like, did you read the fine print where it said, it's probably going to come in a few months at that point in time, but
And then the pandemic happened and people are like, where's my movie? It's like, the movie's on hold. Sorry. But yeah, one of the things that like Tony and I like to do is, if there's crowdfunding going on, like, if we can throw some money at it, even if it's not like a lot, with perks, with like a physical copy when it comes out or something like that. Sometimes I forget all about it. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, look at this. It's like a surprise in the mail. That's awesome. Yeah. But yeah, so that's cool. I mean, I can totally get it. Totally get why that would be something you would want to do last resort. So do you want to maybe give a little backstory? You said that these characters have YouTube channels. I was doing a little peek, and it has to do something with paranormal investigation as well.
Yep. So the gist of the film is that there's these two girls, Lilian and Stacey, who have a YouTube channel about horror movies and metal music, two of their favorite things. But the problem is nobody's watching. Small channel, having a hard time, hitting that algorithm and, getting some interested eyes. So they try some gimmicks and stuff like that. Nothing works. And then one night they drunkenly trespass into a graveyard and they accidentally capture footage of a real ghost. And so they upload that to their YouTube channel. And, here comes the attention, but then their haunting begins. And that's the basic premise of the Hellgate.
Nice. Now, I know without giving too much away, but do they continue on they're like, okay, this is our bread and butter now. We have to go and continue to do more paranormal stuff, or is it just like, okay, now we're just
hit wonder kind of deal? Like we put this video up, it hit millions of views, and then it's like, okay.
Yeah, so that's part of the conflict in the film. Is one of them wants to keep doing it, the other one wants to stop getting attacked by ghosts.
Oh, okay.
So that's part of the conflict is, one of them is like, no, we got to figure it out. Like, what's going on here? Look, we struck gold here. It's a real ghost, blah, blah, blah. And then there's other people that come in that are like, no, you guys, that's Blender, or, that's something else. I've seen that trick, so it's one of the girls, Lilian, I'll just give it away. It doesn't matter. She's the one that's pursuing, the mystery of the ghost. Stacey is the one that she's a little more reserved. And it all comes in with their character of why they do that. And so that's where some of the conflict comes in between them is keeping themselves safe and also figuring out why they got this ghost, who it is.
Right. I mean, it's tough. Just real quick, Sergio wants to say hi to DJ. What's going on, Serge?
Hi, Sergio.
Over on YouTube, we have the one and only MJS saying hello, everyone.
MSJ.
Sorry, I'm dyslexic. I'm glad that I was able to somewhat get it right. Yeah. So like the whole paranormal thing, just out of curiosity, like, is there a reason you picked the paranormal? Is it just like, okay, I haven't done like this kind of movie before, or is it something where are you into paranormal stuff?
So the reason why I did that, so the first draft of the script, a lot of the feedback that I got from other writers and people that I trust and, writing groups that I've been in, they, one of the most feedback that I would get was that it's kind of like a hodgepodge of horror, kind of like a horror grab bag. I had ghosts, I had like zombies, I had like creatures, I had like all this stuff in there. And it didn't seem like there was very much of a focus on that. It just kind of seemed like I was pulling from all these different things. And, it was sort of loosely tied together. And so I decided to focus more on the ghosts because I haven't done that as much. Zombies are overdone for me, in my opinion. I'm kind of burnt out on zombies. Yeah. I love creatures and eldritch nightmares. I'm a big, Lovecraft fan. But ghosts, they can represent some things, and they can, represent character flaws. And the general theme of the film itself is how far are you willing to go for success or to achieve a goal? Who are you willing to sacrifice, or what are you willing to sacrifice? That's sort of the main thesis of it, while also, having fun.
Right.
I'm not really, I didn't write this. It's a horror film, but I wanted it to be fun. I wanted it, to be a good time. And so I guess that's really what happens. And then when it comes to ghosts, the reason why I have a paranormal investigation kind of thing going on is because I wanted to introduce sort of a negative influence on that whole aspect. Are they really ghosts, or is it not? Right. So I kind of went like old school ghost hunters kind of with it for some of it, is trying to prove that it's not actually ghosts.
Yeah.
Which is like a coping mechanism some people do, when they are haunted by something, you try to explain away, instead of facing it. So there's a lot of sort of deeper things, hopefully, that I think I get across in the
right.
film.
I knew that was going to strike a chord with Sergio. So he's asking if you've ever seen a real ghost. So
I have never seen a real ghost. Yeah. And I'm not sure I buy in all the way, but I am, my eyes are, or what should I say? My mind is open. I went on one ghost hunt before, one actual ghost hunt, and we didn't get anything.
Right.
And then I live in Florida by St. Augustine.
I love St. Augustine. I went there because of it being so legendarily haunted.
Haunted. Yeah.
Right.
So, and I like to go on the haunted pub crawls. you know, because it's just, you get to hear some fun stories about all these haunted buildings, and you get to have a drink in them, and, you know, it's a good time. And then I'm originally from Ohio, which is one of the most haunted states in the union, you know, here in this, you know, so I'm definitely into it.
Yeah.
I want to believe, let's say.
Exactly. Yeah. I hear you. I was actually part of a team for a while. So I've done a lot of investigations, and the old prison in St. Augustine, I did like a thing there, the old jail or whatever. And we actually got some stuff, and some people flipped out, like they panicked because of the stuff that was happening. And I was just like, it's fine. You're fine. You know, like whatever. But I like St. Augustine a lot.
So do you think as far as what you got, and the fact that you weren't afraid or worried or anything, do you think that ghosts are strictly just able to make noises and influence stuff like that? Or do you think that there could be more like poltergeisty kind of stuff that can actually harm you?
I that's the reason why I did like investigation stuff, is because I really don't know, you know? So that, like, the only thing I've ever experienced was like there's been a few things like a kind of like ask and response kind of thing. Haven't seen anything other than we captured like it looked like a shadow of a person walking across a hallway like more than once within like a very short amount of time in an old mansion up in the Berkshires in Massachusetts. But other than that, like we got some stuff, like some like call and response stuff at that jail. And a girl was like almost in tears. She was so scared, and I'm like, "You're fine. Like it's fine. Like don't worry about it." Like
I don't know what I would probably freak out too. To be honest,
this was in the death. This was in the like the death row area of that jail cell too.
Yeah,
and I was saying things like, "I know you're innocent," and like it's literally the only like window in that area was looking out to the gallows. So I'm like, the only view is what's going to kill you. You know, that kind of deal. And so it was that, but I never, like, I very rarely felt uncomfortable, and I want to believe that there's something, because I don't want there to just be nothing when you're done. You know, it's like, hey, I'm done, guys. That's it. I want there to be something else. I don't know.
So you're still a skeptic then, even after experiencing whatever.
Well,
why?
Right, because some things are, you know, you got to think like some of them may be explainable. Some of them it's like the if you're looking for something, you'll find it kind of deal. Like it's almost like you'll make it happen.
Sure.
So so that's the thing, is it's like, I don't know, like I don't know. I mean, what some of the things are kind of unexplainable, but there's a lot. So Florida is a very humid place. There's things that humidity could affect something, you know, it could affect electronics. It could affect, you know, that it's humidity like that could be that. There's there's a lot of, things I've seen where it's like, oh, this is an orb. Like, no, it's dust, or it's a bug. You're in an old church from like the 1800s that hasn't been cleaned in years. It's dust, you know.
Right.
Sorry, dude. You're kicking up dust. But so Sergio, I went to the lighthouse as well. Me and my wife and some friends walked all the way up to the top of the lighthouse, and then as soon as we got up there, the place was infested with bees. So we had to turn around and come right back down. So in St. Augustine. But yeah, that's a great area. It's just a really cool area in general. If you ever get a chance to go out there, anyone listening or watching, Tony, go to St. Augustine.
Okay. Well, I have family in Florida, so eventually at that point in time.
Fine.
But here's a question for you. Now, you said with your script and whatever you had, your little mix of everything, it could spark some sequels. I don't know how, it ends or whatever, but it could be one of those like, okay, this time we're hunting ghosts, but okay, like what was it in the like Godzilla or one of those like monsters? They had those like, little previews of everything else. So
they had like the little drawings on the wall kind of deal. Yeah.
It's like, okay, something's happening over here now. Now it's a creature. Let's look for a creature. So it could spin off some sequels to it.
Yeah. So I actually kind of had that in the back of my head when I was writing, because I'm a big Buffy fan. Mm-hmm. And really, I actually like Angel. I like the Angel series more than Buffy, but I'm still a Buffy, like that universe. I'm still a fan. And as I was writing this, I was really trying to not like make it a Buffy type thing where these girls start to become these, paranormal fighters, to where maybe it starts with ghosts and then you realize that there's more stuff out there. And then they start to, turn into like you still have the YouTube channel where they update people on their exploits or whatnot, but they find their own like Giles type character, right? And they find other, maybe they have because one of my favorite characters in Angel was Lorne, and maybe they find something from the other side that also helps them that only they can see, or something like that. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to really try to not do that, and just really focus only on the story that I was writing just for that film. And then if there's I do have an ending that kind of leaves it open for a sequel if that is in the cards, because I do like that. I do like that idea, but
because at that point in time when you were saying you were writing that stuff, it sparked my interest. I almost had like a Monster Squad feel to it.
Yeah,
because I'm still waiting for. I don't want to like direct sequel or like a remake of Monster Squad,
right?
But I want something along the lines
universe.
of that in that universe where you had your what do you call it? Expendables, where you had all your horror like your action heroes together, even though they didn't play there. But Monster Squad, it had. That's why I think I love it so much, is because it had that universal monsters all in one place, and it's just like each one you had to deal with. So I've still been waiting for that modern day movie where it's like, let's pick a little bit of everything and kind of put them into one universe and one genre. I mean, the closest, I guess, was Alien versus Predator, which I like the first one, but the second one was garbage. But that was like close enough to it where it was like, okay, now you got something a little bit different. They're all coming together, so
yeah, that'd be really interesting, and it would be. I think the audience is out there for an updated Monster Squad or something like that. I think I think people want it,
and the thing is too is unfortunately there's a lot of people out there that won't go back and watch the older movies. So if there's younger people, they may not know what Monster Squad is. They may not know what Buffy is. Like I know what Buffy is. I've never seen a single episode. I'm sorry.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I mean,
don't apologize to me.
I have a lot of friends that really enjoyed that series and Angel as well. And if Wolfie was on, he would be talking up a storm. He loved both of those series. But
then they had Supernatural too.
Right.
For like for the first like 2 seasons. I thought they were going with that. I'm like, okay, now they're going after monsters and stuff. And then towards the middle of it, which I watched every season and I liked it, but then they got into the whole like religion and God and stuff like that, and it took a different turn. And I'm just like,
yeah. Well, the problem with shows like that is that that's the only direction that they have to go, right? And as soon as you get there and you're like fighting God, like you've now exited like the realm of, I guess, you're supposed to, what am I thinking of? The suspension of disbelief. Like you've exceeded that, so that's the only part. I thought Buffy and Angel did it really well, because they still stayed contained within, the realm that they were in.
If they start off crazy and then continue crazy, but if they're like start off like a regular show, then it goes insane. It's like, all right, guys, come on.
Yeah.
Like this is completely out of the realm of what you're talking about. That's why like shows like Preacher and stuff like that is just insane the whole time. You have a guy with a butthole for a face,
right.
And then, but it's, I don't know. I mean, one of these days, I mean, I have plenty of time. I have so many other things to watch, but one of these days I'll get around to it.
You should, man. It's and Joss Whedon's been very influential, in that sphere. And I mean, you've seen Cabin in the Woods. Yeah.
That's another at that point, the last scene where again everything just jumps out at once, and it's just like, this is what I'm looking for. I want those. But I'm also I'm the not outlier or whatever, but like we were talking about the different genres of horror movies and different genres of music and stuff, but mine is horror comedies, and not a lot of people like that. I like the meshing of 2 separate things coming together into one, because sometimes if you ride the wave of one thing too much, it kind of gets boring or it gets old. When you can scare someone at one point but have them laughing at another point, it's like, I don't know, I like that a little bit more in my movies and stuff. So
well, that's what I love so much about the horror genre itself, is that it's the only genre where you can do every other genre. And it can be, and there's an audience for it, and there's a way that you can tell a deeper story through the vehicle of horror. And that's why I like Mike Flanagan so much, and why everything that he's done, like he shits gold for me. He is my like horror filmmaking Jesus, with everything that he's done, with everything from Absentia, his first film, all the way up to Midnight Mass, that limited series on Netflix. Just everything. I mean, Dr. Sleep, Oculus, Gerald's Game, Hush. I mean, these, just all incredible films. And House on Haunted Hill, or no, Haunting of Hill House. Sorry, I always screw those up. Haunting of Hill House, and even Haunting of Bly Manor. All of these are deeper, more involved stories that are told through the vehicle of horror, and that even adds to the weight of the story that they're trying to tell, and it adds to the weight of the characters as they're going through whatever they're going through, and also dealing with these, this horror setting or whatnot. That's why I can go on and on about that for forever. And that's why I love the genre so much, is because you can do that. I mean, Warm Bodies. You guys seen that movie?
I liked it.
What else can you do that? And that was a great movie. I was getting burnt out on zombies at that point, and I was like, we'll see how it is. And I loved it. I thought it was great
because it's a zombie movie in reverse. It's just like, okay, it definitely took the zombie genre and flipped it on its head, because it's like, okay, I wonder, if this could be reversed and stuff like that. So
the unfortunate thing with that, I mean, is a lot of these subgenres will get burnt out, and it's even harder to stand out because there's so many people just dismissive of it. Clowns for a long time, kind of still clowns. Then Terrifier kind of stopped. That hit, and then it was like even more clowns. Because it, and then Terrifier, and then it's just like, okay, people just need to stop with clowns in general.
I thank you. I agree. Yeah. So there was that meme that was going around for a while. It's like, what horror movie does everybody seem to like that you don't? And you have to pick it. Terrifier is mine.
Oh, I love it.
I couldn't stand it.
Really?
I didn't like it.
I just moderated a panel with Art the Clown himself, David Howard Thornton, a couple weeks ago up in New York.
I'm sure he's great.
He's fantastic.
I'm sure he's great. But the movie itself, for me, it was horror by numbers, and it felt like they were adding scenes that seemed scary because they seemed edgy, and I didn't care about the girls at all. Didn't care what happened to them. I don't like violence just for violence sake, and that's a personal taste thing. That's not a knock against anything else. It's just a personal taste thing. So the fact that I don't have characters that I can empathize with or latch onto, I'm not afraid of clowns as it is. So for me, it's harder to scare me with clowns. If you're going to have one, they got to be scarier than just ultra violence at some point. And there was just a lot of scenes, and then the scene in the hallway with like the crazy lady with the baby doll. It's just like, why is she here? What is this? What is this doing other than being a creepy scene? I don't feel like it's served any kind of a story. I'm more than welcome to talk to you or anybody else to try to enlighten me on, why it's a good film, but I can't do it. I can't.
Films are always subjective. So at that point in time, some people.
Majority of the films that I absolutely hold high on a pedestal, if I saw it at a different point in my life, I probably would have thought they were garbage. There's movies that I'm like, this is a genius. I'm just like, you look at Evil Dead, the original, and it's just like, okay, the effects are horrible. Like, it's not a scary movie, but I hold it up so high, and it's still held up high for me. There's a lot that I love that I know in the back of my mind, like this movie's not great, and I know there's a lot of people that are going to hate it, but I love it. So
the fact that you said that, I think, proves that maybe they're not all just subjective. People's opinions are subjective. Your taste on things is subjective, but I do believe that there are objective qualities and objective critiques to what makes a film good. I don't know what those are. I'm not prepared to make the argument yet, but it has been something that I've been really struggling with and trying to work out on what makes a good film, or, what story beats, or what, when it comes to writing, what makes something good versus something bad, and then try to fit in the subjective enjoyment or opinion about it. Because there's a bunch of films that I thoroughly enjoy that I would say are not good movies.
Yeah.
But that's, that doesn't mean I'm not going to enjoy them,
Right.
And I don't think that a movie has to be considered good in order for you to enjoy it.
Right.
I think one of the main reasons is, like you were saying before, you didn't care too much about the characters at that point. And I think a lot of the movies that I, watch and like, that, I mean, I guess I would consider some of my favorites that some people might not, is, I guess, the character development. Sometimes you'll catch a character that you're like, for some reason, I just like him.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, I didn't. So other people will be like, well, I hated that character. But for some reason, you're attached to the character. And I guess you might like the movie a little bit more for that reason. So maybe like character to begin with. And then, of course, storyline is big for it, too. But
there's some people that just straight up, when they think of horror, they just think of blood and guts from end to end. That's all they want. Yeah, that's all they want, and that's the only thing they consider to be even horror. But like some of the scariest movies in my eyes are not even considered horror. Like Silence of the Lambs isn't considered a horror movie, and that movie is terrifying. But then you have other movies that are like super violent for the sake of being violent, and I'm like, oh man, this is just disturbing because it's disturbing to watch.
Yeah, it's just gross.
Exactly.
You're not scared, right?
Right. It's just violence is all it is.
But then, but the definition of horror is also pretty ambiguous.
Right.
So it's like, how do you apply that? Is it horror or is it, or isn't it? Well, does it scare you? Yes. Okay. It's horror. No. Right. So it's not horror. It's like the whole ambiguity of the definition of horror is why it makes for spirited discussion.
Exactly.
And why I like having it so much.
I'm a big fan of like slow burn. I love like a good slow burn, like Tony said, and you said. I want to care about the characters, like the movies that I would hold, like high, kind of like newer movies, especially that would hold high on my list. That like I would say are just great movies in the horror genre would be more of a slow burn where there's one main character that you actually learn about and you care about what's going to happen. And I'm like, that's why I like Ty West a lot. Is a lot of his movies like. You end up caring about the characters, and even like stuff like Hereditary and stuff like that. I know some people don't like those movies because they're a slow burn, but it's like you want to. It's going to affect you. You want it to affect you when something happens to this person.
Yeah,
like that's a jump scare is one thing, but a torment that someone's going through is a whole other animal. It changes your day.
Yeah,
watching a movie that you're like, oh my god, that really that character was awesome. I can't believe that happened to them. The other one's like, remember when that guy jumped out from around the corner? Man, like, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of jump scares.
I think Midnight Mass, if I can bring Flanagan up again, is I think Midnight Mass is the perfect pacing of a slow burn.
Mm-hmm.
I think especially if you want to introduce somebody to a slow burn type thing, I would immediately recommend Midnight Mass. I think it's the perfect pacing for a slow burn. And again, I think I also think that character is like the underlining quality for what makes something good. Because we as people, we've been telling stories for as long as we've been alive, right? That's why we have history. That's why we have all this stuff. And when you have somebody that you can relate to, whether it's, an empathetic relationship or, I've been in this similar situation, or they seem like a real person, they have flaws and they have conflict that they have to overcome. People are going to enjoy that more generally. And that's what has all of these great films all have in common are the characters, their struggles, and how they overcame them. And obviously there's outliers. There's always exceptions to the rule, blah, blah, blah. But I think having a solid character is something that is going to make a movie better, despite maybe any other flaws that it would have. If it's a good character-driven story, more people are going to think it's good, maybe. I don't know. I'm just kind of like, this is
right. I mean, but again, there's people that, I mean, I know, because I do a lot of horror conventions and the screenings and stuff like that, and where people are just, they're set. They're not going to go watch this movie because they know it's not going to be end to end blood and guts. So like, I'm not even give it my time of day. I'm not even going to even attempt to watch it. That's a disservice. That's why I love like things like Shudder. Is I stumble across so much stuff I didn't know existed, and a lot of it is character driven, slow burn, like a lot of stuff from other countries, other than American movies. I mean, you go to a lot of other countries and they actually develop a character. But so Sergio's he's still going off about this ghost stuff. But so we changed the subject a little bit, Sergio. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. But so is that your goal with the new one? Are you? It's going to be more character driven.
Yes.
But your shorts are character driven too, even though they're short films. And that's the thing I wanted to bring up. We're about halfway at the halfway point. I always like to play a trailer around then. So we don't have a trailer for anything new, but your production company or your what is it? It's
BloodScribe Creations.
BloodScribe Creations, because you do other stuff too besides short films. You do like some commercial stuff and some music videos.
I gotta make money somehow.
Exactly. Yeah. If I did podcasts all day, that would be phenomenal. I call people and tell them to pay their bills. I work in collections, so that's a horror show right there as well.
Yeah, I'm sure
it is. And I've talked to many people in Florida, believe it or not. But we were just talking about that today. I'm like, the amount of people we call in Florida, it's crazy. There's just a lot of people in Florida.
There's going to be more because everybody's moving here.
Yeah,
I was a transplant. I lived in Ohio for 30 years, and I was like, you know what? It's too cold.
How many people in Florida are actually born and raised in Florida? I mean, there's a lot of people that are transplants. A lot of Mass people from my area. I'm in Mass. A lot of them, as you get older, you start going down that way because it's
in Jersey. Whenever people retire, they head down south. So
exactly. Yeah. But so besides this, the new one, the Hellgate that you're working on, you have oops, I just hit the mic. You have like a wide selection of short films as well. That some of them that are not in the horror genre, but some of them that are. We do have you have like a on your YouTube, you have like a kind of like a montage of some of those films. So I want to play that, and then I want to talk about those a little bit. And how you got into the whole thing. So
sure.
I'm going to play that now because I know Sergio is going to ask for a trailer. Sergio is very demanding, but we love him. We like that he's here. So here is the BloodScribe Creations promo reel, and you can go to your YouTube channel. So DJ Remark on YouTube, and all of your shorts are there.
Yep.
So you can watch any of these. None of them are behind a paywall or anything like that. So if any of these look interesting, head over there and check that out. But here is the promo reel for DJ stuff, and we'll be right back.
Afraid, be very afraid.
I don't believe in ghost stories, Morgan. That was her superstition.
Is drinking blood a deal breaker for you?
No.
A step too far.
See, I see this world what it really is. A hunting ground.
Oh, there you are.
There you go. And also, if you head over to the BloodScribe Creations website, a lot of that stuff is there as well. But go give him a subscribe on his YouTube channel, and I'm sure you'll keep people updated on stuff. And when you start to put out stuff for the Hellgate, is that going to those videos? Are you starting a whole new channel for that whole?
Yeah, I think because I started the YouTube channel before I had BloodScribe and before I was doing that, and I didn't think that I was going to have. I didn't think I was going to do the YouTube thing the way that I have been doing it. So for the Hellgate and everything else going forward, yeah, we're going to have a BloodScribe Creations YouTube channel that we put out, because it's more than just BloodScribe is more than just me, so I only had a following, the only thing that I had, so that's why I put them on there. It's like, look, I'm just getting into filmmaking, I'm just doing this is where I'm going to host them, this is what I'm going to do. And, but now that we're trying to get into the big leagues, it's time to get it.
Now, did I see, I don't know if I saw, I could be completely wrong, but did you do like a Film Riot entry thing?
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. Film Riot's awesome.
Yeah. The first clip in that was, and I don't have it listed on my YouTube channel. I'll probably list it again, but the first clip in that little trailer there was for that Film Riot contest. It was a 1 minute short. It was a 1 minute short film, and you had to use the Filmstro software to score that 1 minute.
Oh, nice.
And so that's what it was, and that was my offering.
That's awesome. So yeah, I've been a fan of Film Riot for a long time, and I don't make movies. Like I watch that, and I watch the Quarter Crew stuff all the time, and it's just like, I don't make movies. I just find this stuff very interesting, and it's just like, wow, this is pretty cool. And there was a guy that we had on a while back. He was in another movie that we were talking about, but he is a regular in a lot of the Film Riot stuff. He's like one of the guys that's in a ton of the, he's one of the actors that they use. And I was like, you're on Film Riot. Holy crap. Like, I couldn't believe it. It was a good time. I'm a dork.
Film Riot, great. Film Courage, all that kind of insider baseball. Even Film Threat, with Chris Gore and those guys, all of that kind of insider baseball and filmmaking itself is just, it's so fascinating. And that's why, that's why I got into filmmaking anyways, because watching horror, I loved how they did it. I loved seeing how they do the gags, how they do all of these scares, all of the creativity that goes into it. I just love learning about that stuff.
Yeah. Have you ever watched any of the Quarto Crew stuff?
No, I haven't seen that yet.
So they're like an effects house, and like they'll sit down with like a effects master and just be like, reacting to good and bad CG, or like they'll go through and make like a rated R version of like a G movie, and they'll just like an R-rated Home Alone, where it's just like awesome. Yeah, so it's pretty fun. It's totally not Film Riot, but it's fun if you're into filmmaking, and I'm interested in it, but I just don't do it. So Tony, you were saying something.
Yeah, I was about to say that's why I think I love physical media so much, is because a lot of the times they have that behind the scenes kind of stuff, and that's why as you can tell, me, Kevin, also a lot of the people on this podcast are physical media buffs, because at that point in time they give you that I guess it never drove me to make a movie, but it's one of those things where I always wondered. Like,
it's interesting.
It makes me look at movies completely different. Not only this podcast, but also the behind the scenes stuff. Before I knew anything that goes on, you think you know one thing, and then it just warps your mind to another. It's like night and day, I guess you want to call it at that point in time.
Oh yeah. I always tell people, if you want to learn anything about making movies, watch directors' commentaries on the film itself. Whatever movie, your favorite movie, watch the director's commentary, and you'll learn so much just about filmmaking just doing that.
And that's the bad thing about streaming. That's like the biggest downfall of streaming, is that isn't there.
Right.
But yeah, like that, I'm like probably one of like, I don't know, maybe a good amount of people, but not too many people would like actually go through and watch all the special features on the Lord of the Rings trilogy when it came out on Blu-ray. Like I watched everything. And it's just like, it's just interesting. And like the whole behind the scenes for The Shining is crazy. Like that whole, like, I think there's like a documentary on it where you just see Shelley Duvall just getting destroyed as a person. Like she's like so miserable. And it's that stuff is just very interesting, because you look at it as one way, like, oh wow, they're acting, but it's just like, no, they're going through shit right now. Like this is crazy.
Especially making movies back then, like you have to swim through shit.
Literally,
literally, you have you got to get the shot. There's no CG there. There's no green screen. Like,
right. Well, that's the thing, Marvel. With independent guys, you don't have the CG, so you're doing it old school.
And I won't use it. And I shouldn't say, let me back that up. It's not that I won't use it. I just, as a philosophy for how I want my stuff to look and what I want to do, as much on camera I can get, that's what I want.
I agree.
I would use CG for like maybe some set enhancements or some like background stuff, if I needed to replace a sky or something like that, if I can't actually get that shot in camera, that is the one time that I would probably use CG, is just for touch-ups and stuff.
Right.
Everything else is all practical, all happening on screen. I don't care if it costs more. It looks better.
Right.
And I'll die on that hill. I'll die on that hill.
If you're watching a movie and you can see that there's CG in it, then it's not done right.
Right.
Like, that's the thing, is don't do it unless it's undetectable. Like there's something that'll be great, and all of a sudden you just see like a weird like blood splat. I'm like, that wasn't there. Like that they shouldn't have added that. Like
you couldn't, and it's like you couldn't have just mixed. You couldn't have just gone completely broke and mixed ketchup and water and done it.
Yeah.
Because even then, so what? It's still there, and it still doesn't look CG.
Right.
Because even some of the bigger budget movies, sometimes I'll watch with CG, and it's just like, that doesn't look right, and it's $1 million movie, and it's like,
Yeah, like you could afford to do the real thing.
There's a lot of things that go into that as well. Like sometimes that's why I like Quarter Crew. They'll talk about like they'll spend all this money, like they'll have like a effects guy come in and like they spent all this money, and then like last minute they're like, we need to change all of it. Like, so we need to do this. How long is it going to take to actually like, run this? It's like, it's going to be another 3 months. Like, we don't have the time. Just give us what you can. And it's like, then you have something that just looks like hot garbage. But so how did you get into the whole process? Like, your first short was called Mother's Day, right?
Well, that was my first horror short.
Okay. So how did, like, when did you start? Like, what was it that gave you the bug?
So long story short, I came up in performing arts. So I went to a performing arts middle school. I went to a high school that was very involved in the arts, very involved in, theater and band and stuff like that. And I've always been I've always liked movies. I've always been like kind of a nerd when it came to things that I was into. I played Magic the Gathering in high school at lunch, stuff like that. Like I was just that kind of person. And I even split my time in high school between high school doing academic studies there and then going to a career center where I studied multimedia and digital design. And within that multimedia program, they had video production, and that's what I majored in that. So I had always done that. And then I even went to a broadcasting school for a while and majored in TV production. And then I got a job in IT. And, because it was always this plan B thing. I had to pay bills. I had to make money. I had to support myself, blah, blah, blah. And it was I had all of the stuff like, it's not good for a career. You're not going to do it, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward to 2018 where I'm miserable and I already talk movies. I love movies with my friends. Like, it's this whole thing that I do. And I was like, I need to just make a movie. My entire history coming up has been theater, has been movies, has been TV production. I just need to do it. So I went on Amazon, bought a bunch of cheap crap, and I shot it on a cell phone. And that's how I got into it. And that's how, and as soon as I called action, that's when the bug bit me. And it's been like, it's an itch I got to scratch all the time.
That's awesome.
So that's
good. I'm glad you actually did it. I mean, there's a lot of people like I think I'm a fair bit older than you. None of those options were a thing in my area. Like, for sure, computers were like, not the norm when I was in high school. So it was different. It was, it's good that you had that opportunity, like going to the schools that you were able to go to.
I'm very thankful.
Oh yeah, that's great. And it's something where you took the leap, so that's awesome. A lot of people just don't.
I needed to change. I needed to change, or I was gonna like drink bleach. I mean, and so it's saved me, and I love it, and there's this whole process going through the makeup. I told one of my best friends, I told her after the last music video that I did, I was like, I'm never doing this again. And then a month later, I'm back at it because it's just like, it's like I was lying. Like, it's just because it's a lot of stress, but it's a labor of love. And, I love the end product, and I like music videos anyway, especially if I can add horror elements to them. And so I'll do anything that I can do that way. But anyway, so that's what it is. That's
now
cool.
with the shorts, did you do like casting as well, or did you use like friends to do it? Like how for each of your shorts, how'd that go?
Both. I did both casting and used my friends. My one buddy, Lyle Shelley, is an actor in Ohio, and he's a buddy of mine that's also a cinephile. And I was like, hey, I need a guy. You want to do it? And he's like, yeah. And I'm even trying to get him in the Hellgate. It's going to be kind of logistical, but I've been trying to get him in that as well. So, that was the difference there. The most famous person that I've cast so far is Caitlin Newberry. And she was in the drama short film that I did, Uphill. And then other than that, yeah. So my friend Angelia has actually been the most consistent actor, and she's been like my monster. So in all of the shorts where you have, a monster, it's Angelia. And she loves doing it. So like I've always been able to lean on her. Like, hey, can I put you in really, can I put you in some makeup and make you a heel and whatever? And she's like, hell yeah. So it's always good to have that. But yeah, that's how I did it.
Yeah. Now with the move to Florida, how does that work? Like you said, the logistical thing. Is it something where you're going to try to work with these people still, or do you have like a whole other group of people that you are ready to work with for this one? I know you did casting for the leads on this, but what about like the background people and stuff? Yeah.
So the guy that shot my last two shorts and the music video, his name's Jack Miller. He's a cinematographer out of Cincinnati, and he does great work. And I'm using him on the Hellgate. Hi, Jack. I'm using you on the Hellgate. And so I'm bringing him down, and and anybody that I can get from that crew, back in Ohio that I've worked with, that, we have the same vision and we have the same love and we know what we're going for. I want to use them as much as I can. And then I have met a lot of people down here in the film community that are good and that I want to utilize, because I do like, it's indie film. I do like working from the ground up. And the fact that the Hellgate itself is really a love letter to horror movies and metal music. I want to do a soundtrack, instead of a score for the film. And I was going to reach out to local bands down here, local metal bands, to, see what we can do about getting them on the soundtrack for the film, and, doing whatever we can that way, because I want to foster that community down here. And there's a decent horror, so I'm in the Jacksonville area of Florida. And there's a decent horror community here, but it could definitely use some bolstering. So I'm hoping to do that. I'm hoping to do that with this as well.
Nice. Yeah, there's a lot going on in Florida. Like there's
a
little bit of everything going on in Florida. So I think that you'd be able to, find people, but if there's people that you're loyal to, it probably wouldn't be too hard to be like, hey, you want to come down to Florida? This is the warm weather for a while.
Who's going to say no to that? Vacation. There's people who will. It's pretty humid down here, but yeah, come on.
Well, especially
hey, and we're filming in April, so it's still snowing in Ohio.
Yeah.
So that might be, some incentive to, come and spend a couple of weeks where it's not.
That's off the cusp of like the humid months. Like
April's great.
May, June, July is. My cousins live down there, and it was the couple times I went down. It was July and August, so the two worst months ever.
Yeah, it gets hot.
It's like at that point in time, I remember taking a shower the one time. I walked out, and I'm like, there was no point. I took 2 steps, and I'm sweating already. I'm like, forget this. I'm like, I'm staying in the house. They're like, yeah, that's what most people do for these 2 months. It's like you hardly ever see anybody out when they have to. It's like very quick and whatever. So April's that perfect like.
I was definitely shiny when I was there on vacation. That was for sure. And like we were just pretty much run from air conditioning to air conditioning. And that's why we went to Universal, and it's like most of the rides are inside and they were air conditioned. So
it's great.
Awesome. Yeah.
Sergio asked if I've seen The Conjuring. I have.
And we all have.
Yeah. The first Conjuring I enjoyed. The rest, not so much.
Yeah.
I like James Wan he has been frustrating for me because I loved Saw when it came out. I thought it was great. And then I like Dead Silence. I thought that was a great movie. I thought The Conjuring was pretty good. But I feel like James Wan has been constantly trying to remake The Exorcist, and it's just kind of annoying me because it's like, you got talent, bud. Do your original stuff. Stop trying to remake The Exorcist. Do what you're good at.
Did he make Malignant?
Yes.
Okay, I hated that movie. I hated that movie.
I like that actually.
There's a lot of people like, this is the best horror movie I've ever seen in my life, and I'm like, what are you talking about? She's got a mask glued to the back of her head. Like,
I wouldn't go that far, but I definitely, because especially now with the
Zack Attack, bang bang bang.
Especially with the like bigger budget films, I try not to give too much into it, because nowadays everything's recycled, and going into it, I didn't know what to expect, and I watched it, and I actually did enjoy it a lot.
Well,
what did you like about it? Why did you think it was good? Did you think it was a good movie first?
Yeah, I
because you can like bad movies.
I watched it. I can tell you the only thing I remember is that horrible makeup on the back of her head. That's the only thing I remembered. I'm like, wow, how big was this budget? And it literally looks like she has a mask glued to the back of her head. Like, I don't know. That's all I can remember. Can't tell anything else.
The only thing I think I liked it is because it reminds me of like the 80ish type feel. It had an old school feel with a new school vibe. It's hard to explain, because at that point in time, I say that way too often.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know if you've noticed, DJ, but he says at that point in time quite a bit.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have a T-shirt made up.
So
do it.
Everyone look for that. At that point in time, T-shirt or
it's
at
on
the wickedhorrorshow.com.
Yeah.
But with that, it just, I don't know. It just reminded me of it had an old school feel to me. I hard to explain, but I definitely enjoyed it for sure.
Is it bad that I think Trauma could have done it better?
I mean, when you have a studio like Trauma, they're that studio where it's like they know what they are.
Yep.
And that's why they can produce those movies. That's why Toxic Avenger is so good. Mm-hmm. That's why a lot of those movies, where if you just want a movie like a Trauma movie, you're gonna get what you want. Right. So like, I feel like there's some value there. I feel like there's some quality there where it's like they know what they are, they know what they're making, and they're going to give you you're going to get your money's worth out of it. So
I respect Trauma a ton. Like I love a lot of Trauma stuff. We've actually had Lloyd Kaufman on the show a couple times.
I'd love to meet Lloyd.
I've never met him in person, only on the show. And and he's great. I mean, he was awesome. But I'm
sure.
I mean, they also started a lot of careers, and you know what you're getting into when you watch a Trauma movie, unless you've never seen a Trauma movie before. What's that? Full Moon too. Full Moon Features. I mean, like you saw what they were making, and then they just hit it with Puppet Master. Now there's 18 of them, whatever. But too like, many. if you can strike gold with Puppet Master, and then just keep making more Full Moon stuff. I mean,
that was one of those movies that I remember liking it a lot more when I was younger, and I revisited a lot of them, and I'm just like,
the newest one, the Third Reich, the one that Thomas Lennon is involved in, that was actually pretty good. And I know I'm being biased because I'm a big Thomas Lennon fan. Do you know who Thomas Lennon is, DJ? Reno 911. The guy with the
yeah, okay, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Sorry.
Yeah, the guy with the booty shorts. That's
yeah.
And he was on The State and Viva Variety, and he's been on a ton of stuff. But I thought it was pretty good, surprisingly. Even the newer like Critters thing wasn't too bad, but that's not Full Moon. But Castle Freak was a good time with Full Moon, and that was based off of a Lovecraft thing. You mentioned Lovecraft earlier.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually wearing a Cthulhu shirt right now as we speak.
Well, now you got the Ginger Dead Man and the Evil Bong movies, so they have their own like feel to them too as well.
Right. Yeah, and they're fun. People love their stuff. I mean, I know we both know a few people that have contributed quite a bit to some Full Moon stuff. So I mean, I have no problem with it. I've met the dude. What's his name? Charles Band.
Yeah.
I met him in New Jersey. He was a very nice guy. And that's all I got to say about that. Full Moon, Trauma, go at it. But this is a different style of horror altogether that you do.
Yes.
So we are coming up in a little bit, in a few minutes, we'll be at the hour mark. So we want to make sure people know where to go to check out your stuff. So where would you like people following you? Where can they get the most updates? Where can they see what's going on with you?
Yeah, so they can probably get the most updates from the BloodScribe Creations Instagram, which is just BloodScribe Creations on Instagram. That's where we're going to post all of the updates. And then obviously bloodscribecreations.com. That's where you're going to get everything. I've been trying to blog more on the BloodScribe Creations website. So like that's a thing that I'm going to be doing more, is blogging on there. But any kind of update that we do is going to be on either bloodscribecreations.com, the website, or the Instagram account.
Nice.
So
I'm assuming you know Zach Attack. Do you know him?
I no, maybe I do. I don't know.
Well, yeah, he's doing hashtag Hellgate, hashtag BloodScribe Creations. There you go.
Thank you, Zach.
Yeah. Go check that stuff out there. And like I said, on his YouTube channel, you have all the shorts, and actually most of them are on the BloodScribe Creations website as well. So that being said, we're probably going to wrap things up. Is there any new movies that, just out of curiosity, any new movies that you've seen that you would recommend to anybody? Is there anything that has been like, wow, this really blew me away? Like anything new? Anything new?
Okay.
Newer.
So, yes, but I gotta think of them. Because there's some newer stuff that's come out that I keep hearing great things about that I still haven't seen, like X. I still haven't seen that yet. I hear it's really good.
And they're going to do a prequel to that too.
It's already out.
So,
okay.
It's already out.
And then they're making I don't know if it's a sequel to the prequel or something.
Prequel.
There's another. It's like
I didn't know it was already out.
Movie, but Pearl's already out.
Zach doesn't know you, but thanks for the support, Zach. That's awesome.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Yeah.
Hope to get to know you. How about that?
Exactly. If you're in Florida, go hang out some bars. And
I hang out at the garage there. If you know what that is.
I don't.
Okay. Well then, if you know, you know, and that's where you'll find me.
There you go. So yeah, X was pretty good. I didn't know Pearl was already out. Is it out on streaming yet, or is it just in theaters? Or
I don't know about streaming, but I know it's out on in theaters because that's all my TikTok feed is. All the horror TikTok is all about Pearl. So I haven't heard.
Sergio's asking if you know him, DJ.
I don't know you, Sergio. I'm sorry.
Well, now you do.
Now
did you see Nope by chance?
I haven't seen it yet. And that's another thing that's kind of like with me. I really loved Get Out. I thought Us was terrible. Didn't like it. And the reason for that is the same reason why my best friend and writer, Jason, didn't like it, was because of the ending.
Yeah, it was like
he liked it more. He liked it more than I did up until the ending, but the ending is what ruined it for both of us.
I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I might be biased because Tim Heidecker from Tim and Eric Awesome Show, great job, is in it. Yeah. And I like Tim Heidecker, but it was very different. And I respected that it was very different. He wasn't trying to, because everything else that's coming out through Hollywood, as you know, is the same thing over and over again. Yeah, so
I'm more than happy to support original stories, right. And that's what Jordan Peele's trying to do. So right. I'm more than happy to support that, and so I will watch it. I just haven't got to it.
Yeah,
so
anyway, I enjoyed it. It was good.
So the newer movies, I would say, it's newer, but it's a limited series, and we've already talked about it. But Midnight Mass, okay. I would definitely recommend that. I thought The Black Phone was good. I would recommend watching that if you haven't seen it.
Yep.
And then it's newer, but it's not as new. Spring. By the guys who made The Endless, and I think the one that they just did was Transference.
That's the creature feature one, right? Spring.
Yes.
Where he meets a girl and she's actually not. I don't want to go way too deep into it to make.
I don't know anything about it.
Might have already done it. Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, those two guys.
Okay, I'll track that one down. I haven't heard of it.
That's put out by Draft House Films.
Yeah, they did Spring, and Spring. I mean, it's just it is an incredible film.
Nice. And
the fact that it's also horror, I love recommending it to people because it's like, especially people who think that horror is just, surface level, 2-dimensional, crap. I always watch Spring and then talk to me.
Speaking of Creed, have you ever seen Splinter?
Yes.
Okay, that one I give. I didn't even know the movie existed. Then the one time I saw it, I'm like, I loved it. And I'm like, when did this movie come out? It was like 8 years before, and I'm like, how did I miss this? I didn't even know it came out. And it's
There's a lot of stuff out there.
Favorite one.
Yeah. So I'll check out Spring. I'll definitely try to track it when I don't have like regular TV, so I miss a lot of like trailers and stuff that are on TV. So that might be part of. There's a lot of stuff I'm like, I have no idea what that is.
It's been out for a while.
Spring's been out for a while. It's one of the earlier ones that Justin Moorhead and those guys did. But I've liked their stuff too. Like The Endless, I thought was great. That's another kind of Lovecraftian thing that they've done. But Spring, I would definitely recommend Spring.
Cool. All right. Well, there's that. Tony, where can people find you?
You can find me at Tony Has Nine Fingers on YouTube, where I do movie reviews, unboxings, anything movie related you'll find on there. Tony Has Nine Fingers on Twitter, which I hardly ever use. Tony Has Nine Fingers on TikTok, which I do not twerk at all. It's all movie related stuff. Tony's Movies on Instagram, where you can find the movies behind me. And of course, here on the Wicked Horror Show, which we do here live every Tuesday night. So anybody listening, I know we get a lot of people listening, come over to the video side. So because you probably heard that little promo video and have no idea what was going on.
You just heard some cool music and then someone being like, you have every right to be afraid, or something like that. And so now you want to see what that is, right?
Exactly. So definitely come over, join the live, ask questions, follow us. So definitely check that out. And also check out the Wicked Horror Show Instagram, which I got to fix my phone because for some reason it's broken. But we have all the guests that we've had on before, our awesome guests tonight, anybody in the future. So definitely check out our Instagram as well. And that's it, Kevin.
Cool. Just Anukle on Instagram. Besides this, I also am part of Black and White Fright, which is just a strictly classic horror review podcast. Another one called Violence Buffet, which is just we literally find the most violent scenes from a movie and show this one guy who hasn't seen anything, and we just try to get a reaction out of him. And then I also pop up on That Strange Show fairly regularly, and I produce another show called All Our Yesterdays, which is more like 60s, 70s, 80s pop culture. We have a lot of cool guests. We just had I forget the girl's name. She was the mean girl in Little House on the Prairie. She was scheduled to be on this past Sunday, and she had to cancel because of a family emergency. Speaking of big guests, though, we do have a bigger guest, like more of a iconic guest on next week. I will not spoil it because I still have to make sure that everything's in place. But keep your eyes out. I'm going to probably start pushing it a little bit earlier, so that way we try to get some more people in the chat. But keep your eyes out on that for next week, the 27th. Thanks for listening / watching, and we'll see you later. Bye. It's ending.